Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Morning Coffee. I am your host, Mark Cook, on this fine Tuesday morning, and we are excited this morning because we are talking about one of the hottest topics out there. And I have experts in the industry to back up the conversation. So, let's introduce our guest for today. The first guest is the president of the American Vaping Association, Gregory Conley. Gregory, welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for being here. This is really kind of exciting. I can't wait to get into the nitty-gritty with you. I also want to welcome Alicia Pisa from the Vape Shop up in North Jersey. How are you this morning, Alicia?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Major Flavor.
Somebody said it right.
Somebody said it right.
Yes.
How could they not say it right?
I have no idea. They put a J, they turned the J to a H, but that was a first, and it happened publicly, so I'm really excited about that.
Well, listen, I mean, we got to be honest. It doesn't appear as if the English language was taken into consideration when you did come up with the name of the store. But, you know, M-A-J-A, it's major to me. It could be nothing else but major. Everybody is talking about it, but the problem is that not too many people really know too much about it. So the first thing we want to do is talk about today is a little bit about the background of the industry, where it came from. Greg, why don't we talk a little bit about kind of where the industry started to take off in those middle 2000s, around there, like 2005, 2006, when it really started to take off.
Sure. Vapor products first came into the market around 2006, 2007, didn't really pick up steam in the United States until 2009. And so that these are battery-operated products that turn a solution of propylene glycol, water, flavors, optional nicotine into a vapor. And so the idea is that smokers smoke for the nicotine, but they die from the tar. And so you're eliminating the tar, carbon monoxide, sky-high levels of other carcinogens, and this enables smokers to get away from smoke while still satisfying the urge to hold something to the mouth, to feel something in the lungs, to breathe something out. And so these products have been very controversial, but also very successful over the past 6-7 years in helping smokers quit.
So how does it actually work? I know that you mentioned that there's a liquid involved. So how does that liquid turn into the vapor with that device?
Sure, you have liquid in here, but you also have an atomizer at the bottom. And when you use this, you're applying a light heat, and that, through the atomizer, turns this liquid into a vapor. There's no smoke, no combustion involved, no fire.
It's interesting, you know. You hear a lot of things like, well, you know, I don't really know too much about it, but it seems like it would be unsafe. It looks like vegetable oil and blah, 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 blah. And really, the bottom line is that we know that tobacco cigarettes have killed people for thousands of years, right? Well, maybe not thousands, but quite some time. Right. So this is an alternative that doesn't have all of the extra chemicals and things that are almost byproducts of cigarettes, the tobacco cigarettes. This is controlled in terms of, we know exactly what is in that liquid. But a lot of people will say, well, we don't know where that liquid comes from, and that's what causes another big question mark in a lot of people's mind. How do I know that this stuff is safe? How do I know that it's good? We've seen situations where most recently something blew up in some guy's pocket, and then it became determined that that was a product from China, and that because there is zero regulation in China, the juices that come over to the United States, the batteries and the mod it's called, like the device that Greg has in his hand, that because they are pumped out in these factories where there is zero regulation, that's what's causing the problems, and that's what people see. So when they see a video of something exploding in some guy's pocket, they think that happens with every vaping device or every electronic cigarette. And guys, that's just not the case.
Well, not at all. Fear-mongering is one of the best tactics that the other, opposing people have. Honestly, 99% of the time that I've seen something go wrong, it's usually user error.
Right.
And that's a misguided statement even for someone to say that there is no regulations in China, because the truth is they're very innovative, and a lot of the products that are manufactured there, they come here and they have their check, their quality codes, they have warranties, they have people in these states that can fix these devices should something go wrong. That's a manufacturer defect. So if used properly and you follow the instructions and you do things like safely, similar to like taking batteries on a camping trip. If you don't put the batteries in the pocket with the change and the keys, your batteries are safe for your flashlight. But if you choose to do otherwise, then you're taking a risk, and you didn't even bother to read the back of that battery package.
Right.
Same batteries. There's no difference. These are lithium-ion rechargeable batteries. 99% of the time, that's what is used. And they have instructions and guidelines that we're supposed to follow, and it's equivalent to that same flashlight you take with you camping.
Right.
If you choose not to follow, that's user error.
Right.
But the big thing is obviously to put out there the message that, oh, one blew up, one caught fire, this happened, that happened, to fear, to put fear and make people, reluctant to purchase.
Well, what was interesting, Mimi, was that in all of the stories that I saw, and I saw that video 1,000 times, let me tell you, in 2 days, every news outlet showed it, right? Not one news outlet actually determined what was the cause.
Right.
Do you guys know what the cause was, right? The button was depressed in the guy's pocket for too long, it got too hot, and it exploded.
Yeah, it vented.
Nobody, not one news outlet mentioned that that's why and how it happened. All they said was, it exploded in the pocket. Like, it magically exploded. Like, we have to worry about these things just all of a sudden randomly exploding, right?
Yeah, correct. The news story that went around that had a man in a gas station having his pants get on fire, that was actually from somebody carrying 2 batteries in their pockets. And when batteries of any kind touch, this isn't unique to e-cigarettes. The batteries that are inside vapor products are not specifically made for vapor products. They're used in laptops. They're used in, to a certain extent, cell phones. So it's all about proper battery safety. It's not something that I've been vaping for 5.5 years, and I've never had to worry about that happening.
Yeah, in full disclosure, I'm also a vapor, and I use vaping devices, and I've never had any sort of issue like that whatsoever. But then again, it goes to what we had talked about before, is that because people don't know about it, they can put a story like that, and then it causes a reaction from people because they're not educated and they don't understand. So what you've touched on there was kind of cool, and one of the things that I liked about it is that there is science involved. Wow. How cool is that? Like, it's so primitive to me to grab some tobacco leaves and throw them in a piece of paper, roll them up, and smoke them, right? We are in 2016. We have amazing, if I could speak, it would help, right? A major flavor, right?
A major flavor.
So, we have amazing advances in technology, and we have all sorts of great things that help change our lives. Why can't these be something that helps people change their lives and how they think?
And I think that we have the opportunity as store owners to educate these people, to avoid anything like that possibly happening.
And you guys, it's really on you. For people like me, who was a smoker that comes to the store, you guys really spend time with these people and talk to them. This is not a I want to say this the right way. It's a fairly delicate process to take someone from tobacco to vaping. But if it's done properly, that person is going to be very satisfied with what they get, like I was.
And comfortable. They can walk out feeling comfortable and confident.
And that's the key, is that you have to be comfortable with whatever you were doing.
Absolutely.
Like, you were comfortable that first time you lit a cigarette, you need to be comfortable that first time that you use your vapor device. So we're going to take a quick break right now, but when we come back, we're going to get really into the nitty-gritty about the legislation that's going to be happening and all that stuff that we want to talk about, and make sure that the government stays out of my vaping stuff. Mimi's got it right there. She vopes, she vopes, she vapes, and she votes. She vopes. We'll be right back on Morning Coffee.
When I was injured, I couldn't play basketball for my entire sophomore year.
After years of wear and tear, I knew something was seriously wrong with Deja's knee when the swelling wouldn't go down.
Young athletes are still growing. They need specialized care only available here at Dayton Children's.
I wanted the best care for Deja because I wanted her to return to the thing that she loves to do, and that's basketball.
At Dayton Children's Sports Medicine, we're treating tomorrow's champions.
Right care.
Right now.
Right here.
Dayton Children's.
Just right for kids.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to make a really great sub, this is what we do. It's what we've been doing. It's what we've always done. It's what we'll always do. So what are you doing? Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Today's show has been sponsored by More Than Gifts. Come see our new location in Marlton, New Jersey. Not just gifts, but more.
Welcome back to Morning Coffee. I am Mark Cook, and we are talking about vaping this morning. We're trying to get some education and infotainment out there about the vaping industry because it's important to talk about because not too many people know really what it is. They hear about it all the time and they're like, I just know what I know from hearing on the news. So we're talking with Greg, who's the president of the American Vaping Association. We're talking with Mimi from Major Flava, and we're talking with Alicia from the Vape Shop. So, listen, I am Joe Q Public, and I don't know that these things are any safer or better or different than regular cigarettes. So I don't really want anything to do with them. So I don't know how you could tell me that they're better or not, right? I mean,
Well, that's a great question. And the important thing to remember is that cigarette smoke, 70 carcinogens, 4,000 chemicals. They are one of the most studied products on earth, and we still don't know everything about what is in cigarette smoke. But the key with vaping is you can have smokers out there, people who are inhaling burning smoke into their lungs, 40, 60 cigarettes a day, who look at vaping and they say, I just don't know, so I'm going to keep smoking. And that's the attitude that many in public health have. They pretty much send the message to smokers that, hey, if you can't quit with the nicotine gum or patch, you might as well keep smoking. But the thing is, if we have a world where cigarettes were never invented, cigarettes never came out, but all the same technology that we have developed over the past 60, 70 years because of cigarettes, and cigarettes came out tomorrow, we would know very, very quickly, my God, look at what it is doing to biomarkers, look at what it's doing to lung cells in the lab. We would know very quickly that these things are going to kill hundreds of thousands of people every year if they become popular. With vapor products, we are doing the studies on biomarkers, on lung cells, following people for 2 years, 3 years as they've switched to vaping, and the news continues to be positive. The science continues to show that the levels of chemicals that are present are far below levels needed to cause harm, oftentimes 150, 1,000 times less than what is in cigarette smoke. So that's the important thing to remember. The dose makes the poison, and people shouldn't just be scared by something just because it's new.
yeah, and it's a really interesting point because last week, this is kind of funny, I stepped outside on one of those nice days and I had my MVP 3.0. I was going to have a little vape, right? Gentleman comes out, lights up a cigarette, and he says to me, oh, you use one of those things?
Yeah.
And I
Like a
said,
stigma.
yeah. I said, I made the switch over about 2 years ago. And he looks at me and he says, I've been smoking for 40 years and I'm not about to quit or change now. And I looked at him and I didn't really know how to respond. I felt like saying, well, good for you. Like, I don't care. Like, if that's how your attitude, right?
Yeah.
If that's your attitude, I'm not going to change your mind, and you guys aren't going to change that person's mind. We need to talk to the people that are willing to give the vaping a chance because I am a testament to it.
Absolutely.
My body feels different now than it did when I smoked regular tobacco cigarettes, and that changeover happened very, very quickly. There was a couple weeks where it was almost like I could feel the insides of my lungs clearing out. It was a really cool feeling, at the same time a little scary sometimes because your body is changing. But I like it. It's something that I've grown accustomed to, and it's not a situation where I feel dependent on it. Like I have to run out and have a cigarette like I used to before. Like I was a slave to those things. Like I couldn't go more than 25 minutes to a half hour without feeling like I needed to run outside. I don't have that feeling with this now, and I think it's a total change in mindset and body.
And ex-smokers turned vapors are the best source of advertisement for the vapor industry, more effective than all the ad campaigns in the world.
Yep.
There's a reason why small, independently owned vape shops have managed to not only grow, but continue to have a larger market in the e-cigarette world than big tobacco. It's not because they've spent all money on marketing and they're
Nope.
competing in that way.
Right.
They are building businesses and building customer bases because you have the family members and the friends of smokers reporting success, and it goes down the chain and continues to grow this side of the industry.
It's interesting because you talked about the vape store owners, and I have two of them right here, and they were talking a little while ago off camera about how the online industry is affecting the brick and mortar stores. And everybody has seen the brick and mortar stores pop up. I would say that just in our area in South Jersey, we've seen a half a dozen stores open within the last 18 months or so.
Yeah.
And they try to, they all try to differentiate themselves in very,
Competitive.
competitive
Yeah.
type of ways. But you were talking earlier about how some people still feel more comfortable buying online than they do in the store. And is that because there's still a stigma,
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
tell me about that.
Well, I would think there's a few different factors there. I mean, some online prices are just not computable with the actual brick and mortar store.
True.
So that's first and foremost, is that somebody walks into the store and expects us to always be able to match what they're paying online.
And we can't.
Online's overhead is totally different, but regardless of that, the thing that I've noticed the most with the people that have wandered into the shop after been an online shopper for a while, because that's usually how that works out. Like if they've already purchased online and had an experience, and then they show up at the shop and it's, this isn't working, how does this work, I don't know how to charge this, and this juice doesn't taste right. And there's some wonderful online shops and online stores that will take the time with their customer to message them back and give them that information, but there's still like a missing interaction.
Right.
And that piece is very crucial to someone's success. Some people I was successful with purchasing online because in 2012, there was no vape shop to go to. It was 2.5 hours away.
Right.
So what did I have to do? Online. Now I kept plugging away, every single time I needed something, I'm over here ordering, but the moment a shop popped up, the very first one that I could get to, I mean, I was at it when the door was, they were unlocking it, and I was oh my gosh, there's real stuff in front of me. So, that there's a huge difference
And you're right.
in that.
They do come into us to explain the product
Yeah,
to them.
they
They'll
don't know
bring
it.
it in, and we help them. And but they don't know. That's where the education is missing.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
And
we
then-
don't have online seminars. There's no way to really, because there's thousands of devices. So how can we go over every device that you may buy, every coil, every juice that you may purchase?
You
How can
guys-
we go over it online?
You're describing my exact experience. It was
Yeah.
the exact way that I had to go through it. I wasted a lot of money because I didn't know what I was doing, and I was just buying the stuff online because there wasn't a shop. As soon as the shop opened, I
You were
went.
there.
I talked to the guy. He knew what he was talking about. I felt so much more comfortable
Absolutely.
about what I was doing that then people, smoker friends of mine, were then asking me
What to do,
what
right.
to do or where to go and all of that stuff. And you're right. I didn't even really think about it, but I became almost an advocate for it without even
Without
really
trying. Yeah.
just because I had a lot of trial and error, found what I liked, stuck with it, and then was willing to tell people how positive the change was.
And that's why this industry, despite being attacked on a whole lot of fronts and being outnumbered, that's why this industry has fared
Yeah.
pretty darn
Pretty
well
well.
at the state level. And we are hoping that the power of the number of vapors that are willing to get active
Yes.
will help us at the federal level as well.
Well, we're going to get into that really deeply in the next segment. We're going to talk about the legislation that's about to happen and how people can get involved and how they can help and try to make sure that the vaping products are still going to be available for everybody to use and enjoy. So we're going to take a quick break on Morning Coffee, and we'll be right back.